You're listening to the Equine Forum on HRRN, presented by Twin Spires.
As they approach the top of the stretch, they are in front, the short lead. Flight of the Stars is just in behind them, and a host of pursuers are coming on. The horse is in with a chance on the outside. Second Empire. Hawksley Hill is now coming hard. Labib is finding his best stride late. Toyota on the outside, nothing left for favorite trip. It is the horse and Hawksley Hill. Hawksley Hill into horse. Hawksley Hill forges short lead. The horse's game as they come, coming down to the line. Spine Pringle stretch line. The horse comes back. Unbelievable. Sensational. In victory here today was very, very close with Hawksley Hill. Oh my. This is the greatest comeback since Lazarus.
One of the great Tom Durkin calls of all time, one of my personal favorites as well. DeHaas winning the 1998 Breeders' Cup Mile. His jockey was a very young John Velazquez. That was the first of Johnny's 21 Breeders' Cup victories. And my goodness, you look at what he did last weekend. He hasn't missed a beat all these years later. 6 stakes victories at the Belmont Stakes Racing Festival at Saratoga. 3 of those were grade 1s and a grade 3. And he made sure that AG Bullet punched her ticket back to the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint at Del Mar in November with a victory in the Jaipur. Wow, what a weekend for Johnny, and he's with me now to go down the road to the Breeders' Cup. Johnny, appreciate the time, my friend. Congratulations.
Thank you so much, Mike. It makes me feel like you just played that tape, and it's like me coming back like Lazarus. The greatest comeback of Lazarus myself this past week. It's really funny. Yeah, but I do enjoy that call very much. So one of my favorites, yes.
People will say, listen, I'm a big fan of the Pittsburgh Steelers, and the Steelers just signed Aaron Rodgers, who people say is way too old to compete at a high level anymore. Johnny, throw all of that out the window. That is absolutely not true when it comes to sports.
Absolutely. Look, I think we just have to have the opportunities. Once we get the opportunities, then we have the heart and soul to do what we do best. Everything's possible. That's it. As long as you're healthy, that you can perform to the high level, is having the opportunity to show that you still have it. That's the way I look at it.
How satisfying is it for you to sit back after a week like that where you take down 6 stakes and those 3 grade 1s and a grade 3? How satisfying is it for John Velazquez to sit back and realize, you know what, I can still compete with these young kids?
Yeah, I mean, that's why I'm still here, to tell you the truth, because I know I can compete with these kids. So, it's just having the opportunity to ride these kind of horses, and everything comes into one. So, and then it just happened to be Belmont week that I had all these horses coming into that week, and having the opportunity to ride and show up there. We still have it, I still have it.
How much does experience play a role in your success at this point in your career?
I think it plays a lot. It's about really being in. I don't know. So tell me, it's all about being yourself. Though, I don't change anything. Though, I haven't changed for a long time. The last 25, 30 years. I kind of keep it very simple. And the homework that you do and everything that you do. So I think it helps a lot when you have the same routine and you don't change it, and try to make the least mistakes possible. And I think that's what helps my career. And that's the way I would look at it. I'm going to do it my best every time I'll go out there and try to put the horses where I think is the best position for the horses, though. So that helps a lot.
Johnny, you and I are exactly the same age, so I look at you as a very young man. What is that routine that you talk about? How does John Velazquez stay fit and able to compete at these highest levels?
Well, I'm not one of the guys that like to work out very much, though. That's for sure. But I do ride horses, though. And that keeps me on. But I do. I do a lot of walks. I do yoga. I do biking. I do swimming. Depends on the things that if I'm not doing enough, and then I have to do all those things the same. Weekly, though. But since I've been very busy and riding a lot of horses, so basically what I do now is yoga, and stretches, before I go and ride. A lot of breathing, exercises to make sure I get, my lungs and oxygen into my muscles and all that stuff, though, kind of get the body nice and loose and all that stuff, though, so. And then mentally, you feel much better mentally. So when you go out there, you know that you prepare for this stuff. So this is how I keep my mind sharp and thinking that my body is 20 years old. It's what I feel. So it feels good. It feels good about it, yeah.
Johnny, over the past 22 years since I started on radio, there are certain interviews that I will never forget, and one of those involves you, when you and I sat down together at a Jockeys Guild conference, and it was such an enjoyable conversation. You were coming back from a serious injury, and I asked you at that point, what makes you want to keep going? Why would you put yourself out there again after having such a devastating injury? What makes you want to come back from it? And I'm going to ask you now, what still motivates and drives John Velazquez sitting here at, 53, 54 years old?
The same thing that I probably told you, I don't know, 13 years ago when I had a really bad injury. I think it's just the thrill of winning, the thrill that you can do this, the horses that, keep bringing you back, look at the week that I just had, though, it's like, just the thrill just to be part of it and winning races like that. It keeps bringing you back into it, It's a thing that you can't change. The thrill that you feel by winning and competing in these high levels, it's a feeling that I don't know, I will never get that kind of feeling anywhere else, though, so that's what brings me back. When you won the Jaipur on AG Bullet to wrap up what was an incredible week, I looked at my wife, Michelle, and I said, well, now Johnny's just showing off. Come on. I mean, who does that, right? Thank you. I appreciate that. Again, riding good horses, is what, that makes you show up. I just picked it up, and I know about the horse a little bit, and although I got a lot of things that, she's very nervous, she's this, she's that, and on that date she was perfect, then just before I went to get on her, she did one of her things, being very nervous and all that stuff. But once I was on her, she was really good. She did everything very good, and nothing that I was expecting that I was told that she was going to do. She's very nervous. She probably want to, flip over. Or she does this, she does that, and she didn't do any of that. So she was very good, and then that's obviously Richard had it ready for the race. So, coming back and for her to run back on a race, though, and against a really high quality horses, though, I got to give it to Richard and the team. That's like, have it ready, coming in and into Saratoga and run the way she did. It was special, though. It's a special feeling, definitely. Yeah. You were able to put her into a perfect spot almost right from the very beginning. Walk me through that trip with AG Bullet in the Jaipur. I knew it was going to be, at least a couple horses speed. I didn't think she was going to be that close, but she behaved so good on the gate. She broke so well, right from the gate. And then Richard and I talked about the race anyway. And I said, well, the horse next to me, he's going to go, he's going to go to the lead. Rich Poli's horse, like if he can sit second, third, fourth, depends how she breaks, and even before that, I talked to him early in the day before we went to the paddock. I was like, listen, if I'm in the middle of the pack, I think we'll be in a great position, but if she's closer, I'm going to leave it there and try to save the best I can to make sure we have something to finish with. She broke so good that I just kind of let it go for the first 16 of a mile, and I see the horse next to me, and I know he was going to go to the lead. I just kind of follow him in and put it right behind him, so she didn't see daylight too soon, though. And once I did that, she came back to me. It's like pretty easily, though. I was like, wow, she relaxed very, very nicely. And that was it. That was the very much, a strategy that we were thinking about, and she allowed me to do it. And then from then on, from the 3/8 to the quarter pole, I was just sat there, waited, tried to give her a really good chance for her to relax and make sure I had something to finish with. The 3/16 pole just kind of tapped her in on the shoulder, and she started moving away, and 8 pole I got after her, and she responded very, very nicely. And very impressed the way she finished and against a tough group though. So and again, Richard had a very ready for it, and he knew it too. I mean, early in the day when we were talking, it's like I think I have it ready, to let's go ahead and win a big one together. And he was right.
Yeah, that's the way your streak of 4 graded stakes victories concluded on Sunday after the race was postponed from Saturday to Sunday. Let's talk about the way it began on Friday with the Grade 1 Ogden Phipps. Darth Vader for George Weaver pulling off an 8-1 upset in there. Walk me through that race.
I mean, I've been riding this filly since last year, and then this year we were trying to do something different with her. And in the first time she ran this year, we want to make sure that we, try to give her a different way that we ride in her last year. So we know she wasn't quite ready, but we wanted to make sure that we teach her something. So try to get him from behind, basically try to relax, and she ran really well in the second time she did run well with all the trouble basically that we had. I got to the paddock, and George said to me, "So how are we going to stay, same post position? How are we going to stay out of trouble with these things that we don't want to be in the same thing that happened in the race in church?" I was like, "I'm going to do the same thing, George." I was like, "I think we've been trying to teach her, to come up the pace, and I think it's the best thing for her, to do the same thing. I worry about the trip after that. I don't think it's going to happen. The same thing happened in Churchilltown, though, And the owner was standing right there, and then George was like, he told us, "Are you okay with that?" It's like, man, we've been teaching her to do this, so let's not panic and just go, to the race the way we've been teaching her." And obviously broke well, 3 horses go, and by the time we got to the backside, I see Joey Rosario's horse, which was the horse supposed to be in the lead, didn't go anywhere, and he was really struggling. And the horse on the lead kind of started getting away from it, and I was laying third, fourth between them, and I was like, you know what, I'm just going to let it do it. Get a position where she's comfortable and forget about the horse, the other horse that's not going anywhere. And after that, she was so comfortable. Jose Ortiz's horse started open up, and I said, well, let me get a little bit closer because I don't want him to go and steal the race on me. And once I was about three lengths around the 3/8 pole, so I was very comfortable that we were doing it nicely. Got to the quarter pole, and I got really close to the horse on the lead, and worked out perfect there. Just kind of went away from him down the stretch. So, but it's one of the things that you try to teach the horse to do something different, and for it to work out the way it did, we were very happy, very, very happy.
Yeah,
George had it ready. I mean, George told me, "Johnny, she's doing better than ever." He gave me all the confidence, that when you go to the paddock saying this horse is doing so good, so he gave me a lot of confidence with her, yeah.
The racetrack was not ideal, obviously, very, very wet. How much did that maybe play into what you felt underneath you with Darth Vader? Did you feel a different Darth Vader because of the surface?
I was a little worried about it, and when she broke out of the gate going to the first turn, I was a little worried. It's like, man, I don't think she's going to like this. And all of a sudden, we passed, 1/8 of a mile after, she broke out of the gate, and she got into the bridle, and then I got comfortable. For the first 16 of a mile, I wasn't sure she was going to like it, though. And all of a sudden, she changed. So, yeah, it was very, very impressive, though, for her to be uncomfortable the first part of the race, and then in 1/8 of a mile later, she was on the bridle where I think she should be. And, yeah, I mean, she didn't mind it after that.
Not much drama in your next graded stakes win. That was the Grade 3 Belmont Gold Cup, a race taken off the turf. You hop aboard Parchment Party for trainer Bill Mott, win by 8.5 lengths. Pretty easy victory there.
Yeah, I mean, I got to the paddock. It's another horse that I picked up for that, and get to the paddock and just like, well, this horse is going to come off the pace, and listen to the jockey James Graham telling him that he doesn't like to be rushed at the first part. And I said to him, well, we have plenty of time for him to get into rhythm. And I did like his other horse he had in the race. And I said, I'm just going to follow your other horse. I'm going to let him pull back and then try to follow the other horse whenever he gets going. But, so we got plenty of time for him to to get some sort of rhythm the first part of the race, and I guess somewhere in the middle of the race, I'd see where he takes me, and I'm just going to try to follow the other horse. By the time we got to the three-quarter pole, I right behind the other Matt's horse, and Junior, I see him, he's moving his hands, trying to get his horse, get in a rhythm, trying to go forwardly, and I'm basically fourth, fifth behind everybody, and I took a pick, and I was like, man, the horse on the lead is a tough one, man. He's been running on the dirt very well. And I said, wow, and Junior's not going anywhere. I better start moving and get a position that my horse can get a cruising speed. And then when I put him in the clear on the backstretch, they start getting into a good rhythm. And again, so out there, I'm like, and I'm 7 lengths behind the horse who's on the lead. And I said, okay, let me see if I can get a little closer to him where he doesn't steal the race. And he did. He allowed me to, get a little closer without using him too much. And once I was at a distance that I thought I probably had a good chance to beat him, I kind of relaxed and kind of let him get his own rhythm. Then I got after him, and 3:15 pole, he went by the other horse, which I was very impressed that, that he actually opened up the way he did. And after that was pretty easy. It's one of the things that works out like that. You think, okay, I'm just going to leave this horse where he wants to run, and hopefully I got something for the end. And he went pretty impressive, yeah.
Yeah, very impressive.
I even told the guys from Australia, I said, win and you end for Australia. And I told them, if you guys pay for the trip, we are willing to go, though, And they said, well, he doesn't run the grass. Well, we can run him right back in the grass. And going 2 miles, I'm pretty sure he probably wins anyway.
Yeah, that was impressive for Parchment Party. It was also extremely impressive for different reasons for She Feels Pretty later on Friday afternoon when she took the Grade 1 New York Stakes. Listen, she has just really come into her own, and this was not an easy win for her. She had to work for it, but she is just so classy, isn't she?
Oh, no, yeah, she's definitely a classy horse, and Sherry's done a great job to keep bringing it back into run and these high levels in these high level races. What a great job she's done with her. And this is a track that we were a little concerned about it, and she never run in a heavy track like that. She ran in a good track and she ran pretty decently, but we were worried about it and we talked about it. And it's like, I'm with you. I say, let's just give it a shot and see how she does, And we did. And she obviously didn't like the track at all, but good horses get you out of there and do what she did, all the first part of the race, I was thinking, man, maybe we did the wrong thing by her, By the time I got to the backstretch, I put her right behind another horse. Finally, she likes that following a horse in front of her, and she seems to, get on the bridle. Then I start feeling more comfortable that, okay, at least I know she's not liking it, but at least she's taking me somewhere. But 3/8 pole, I kind of start putting her face in the clear and let it know that she needed to do a little more. By the quarter pole, I was heading with the other horse, and she went away enough to put the other horse away, but she was really having a hard time, with the ground. But she put a really good fight. So that's what you want from horses like her. They're there. No matter if they like the track or not, she's giving you everything she can, and you're very happy with that, So obviously she's a very good horse and makes me look good.
Visiting with Hall of Fame jockey John Velazquez, fresh off of a huge Belmont Stakes Racing Festival at Saratoga with those 6 stakes victories, 3 Grade 1s, and a Grade 3. Johnny, let's talk about one of the Grade 1s where you came up a little short, and that's the Met Mile. Favorite Fierceness ends up finishing second, beaten 2.5 lengths by Raging Torrent. Tell me about his trip and that performance.
The first one, I was definitely in an uncomfortable position with 3 horses in the race. They're pretty much the same style, though, So I had to come out of there and try to get a position where I thought he'll be, better suited for him. And we did. We got to the position that we wanted, even though we had to kind of also our way into that position. But then the other horse seems like I got next to him. And I was watching Tichori, and man, he kept waiting for me. I was like, I even got half a lane next to him, and he waited for me. Got to the 3/8 pole, past the 3/8 pole. I got almost head and head with him, and he kept still looking at me and still waiting for me. I was like, man, this horse looks like he still have a lot of horse. So by the quarter pole, I kind of got after my horse, and he just kind of stayed even. He didn't finish the way I thought he would have, and the other went away from it. So it's one of those races that, he runs his race, but the other horse, I think, ran a much better race. Though, he was definitely seemed to be loving the track and waiting for me. So disappointed that he didn't win, but also proud of him that at least he tried and put a good effort.
Johnny, before I let you go, I didn't tell you we were going to discuss this, but I do have to bring it up. Junior Alvarado, Kendrick Carmouche in the headlines after some big wins lately for being fined and suspended and all of those types of things that come along with using their whip too many times in a victory in big races. For Junior, the Kentucky Derby. For Kendrick, the Manhattan. The HISA limit is 6 strikes. They went to 7. As a Hall of Famer, as a jockey trying to win these races, I'm not in favor of a 6-strike limit, but I'm really curious to hear your opinion on this.
It's not. I mean, it's basically, it doesn't matter if it's a grade 1 or anything like that. When sometimes you're in the heat of the moment, and you're riding, to win a race, so you forget about it. It's hard to be counting how much, you are true striking the horse. So it's very difficult, though. So this, even in that race and the Manhattan, I thought I went over. It's like, man, I forgot, how many times I struck the horse. Though, I come back and I watch myself, and I was like, wow, 6th time. I thought it probably went over, though. But again, you forget, that. And especially when the horse is responding for it, right? The horse is responding for it, and he's giving you more, so you're going to ask for more, though. It's really hard. It's really hard to do it, But that's the rule that we have right now, and hopefully eventually we can. It would be perfect, like Kendrick said in his article. Perfect if we can get the Kentucky rule, because you can strike the horse with the whip down, and it does not count as a 1 strike when you have the whip up. So you can hit with the whip down as necessary as long as the horse is responded, and then you have your 6 strikes with the whip, up. So it'll be a lot easier and less controversial for everybody, and easier for the jockeys. Good for the owners, because you ask them to the horse when they're responding, to use it downhanded. And for the bettors as well. So, it's a tough situation where we are right now, yes.
Do you like the idea of having a limit on the number of strikes?
I never did. I think it's more about the perception of it, I think, again, if we could get a Kentucky rule, that would be a lot better. I don't know if you will ever going back that way, but it would be a lot better and less publication to the public that doesn't want any racing, that that we're doing something that we're not supposed to be doing. It makes it looks in my opinion, it makes everybody looks bad, though. And especially when the horses I do respond and nothing happening to the horses. So it's a difficult situation. Yes.
Mm-hmm. And the whips today are so much kinder, gentler. I've seen them. Ramon Dominguez helped me understand what they were all about back years ago, and I know that they've continued to improve. They're very kind, very gentle, and not like the ones that used to be used back in the day.
Look, I understand if the horse is backing up and not responding for it, meaning the horse is not. It's like those are the guys or the jockey that you got to get after and find them. But the horse is responding, and going forwardly, though, and as long as you don't know if they do it, though, So again,
yep.
Even if you have you stick down, I think it should be fine. Those are the things that make racing go. But this is where we end up right now. We're in a rule that is very difficult for everybody to follow,
He's the Hall of Famer, John Velazquez, here on HRRN. Johnny, as always, I appreciate the time, and all the best moving forward, my friend. Let's go win some more Greatest Stakes races and show those young kids you still got what it takes to do it. The greatest comeback since Lazarus.
Yeah, thank you so much.
All right, pal. We will talk soon. Safe trip every time you get a leg up.
Thank you, brother.
All right, John Velazquez here on HRN, going down the road to the Breeders' Cup. When I come back, it's time to take a look at a few historical dates in racing history as they apply to this weekend, and I'll tell you what's ahead in hour number 3. This is the Equine Forum on the Horse Racing Radio Network.